Coming up in today's show, we're going to go through some trade ideas as Bleacher Report put out an article that had 3 Knicks trade ideas that involved all 3 of these players. So I want to ask you, if you only could have one of these guys on the Knicks next year, who would it be? Type their initials of the player you're rocking with down below. Could the New York Knicks trade for a superstar before the season gets rolling? We're going to break that down in today's video. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. As we said at the top, Bleacher Report put out an article highlighting 3 trades the Knicks could make prior to training camp getting underway in August, right before, or it might be September. September is usually when training camp gets going. So let's get into it. The first trade idea that they had centered around Zach LaVine, the guard for the Chicago Bulls. And we've talked about LaVine time and time again on this channel. And there was a point where I actually thought this deal was going to go down. And it may have got stalled out to the fact that Rich Paul and Clutch Sports don't want him to go play for him. But I'm going to continue to say it. LaVine makes a lot of sense for the New York Knicks when you're purely talking about on-court fit. Let's go back to the playoffs. Why were the Knicks unable to beat the Miami Heat? 1, they couldn't hit outside shots. Zach LaVine's one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. They had nobody on their team that could consistently create a shot for them outside of Jaylen Brunson. Zach LaVine is one of the best in the business. They couldn't create any easy buckets. And Zach LaVine is one of the best bucket getters in the half court as well as in transition. And I'm honestly not so worried about the Clutch Sports thing. As we know, there's beef between Rich Paul and Leon Rose. Leon Rose used to rep LeBron James. LeBron left Leon Rose, went to go with his buddy Rich Paul, and they started Clutch Sports. But there's rumors out there that Clutch Sports might not be a thing for that long. And what really can Clutch Sports do if the Bulls elect to trade Zach LaVine? What are they going to do and say, no, I don't want my team, my player, Zach LaVine, to go play for the New York Knicks and a bigger market and potentially make more money in endorsements? It makes no sense. And if they are willing to let their beef over LeBron from back in the mid-2000s be more of an importance than the well-being of their client and Zach LaVine, then Zach LaVine should go seek a new agent. As we look at the stats on screen, though, we know LaVine is one of the best offensive bucket getters in the NBA. Hasn't averaged less than 24.4 points per game in a season in the last 4 years, and he's one of the best shot creators, especially from distance, over 37.5% each of the last 4 seasons. And when you talk about LaVine and Brunson, I think the fit is just perfect, to be honest with you, because you can run the offense through Zach LaVine. You can run the offense through Jaylen Brunson. Each can kind of act as your point guard, right, when the other is not on the court. And also, Jaylen Brunson's one of the best catch-and-shoot players in the NBA from 3, and so is Zach LaVine. And when you have 2 guys that can knock down the 3 ball on catch-and-shoot situations of over 41%, that bodes well for your offense. You're going to have a highly effective offense, and you're going to have guys knocking down shots consistently. He's also one of the best players from the foul line down in the NBA. People underestimate his defense, 1.4 deflections per game. He can even create his own shot from deep, knocking down the pull-up 3 at 34%. People say, well, why hasn't his team gone to the playoffs? Well, he hasn't really been on that many good teams in his NBA career. The best team he was on was the 2021-2022 Chicago Bulls, who had the best record in the NBA midway through the season, and then Lonzo Ball got hurt. Do I have a problem that he hasn't been to the playoffs all that much? A little bit, but do you know what that tells me? That he's not a number 1 option, and that is okay. When you look at what he did in the 2022 playoffs, he was solid. I mean, 19 points per game, 37.5 threes per night on over 5 attempts, 43% from the deck. He had 13 assists in a playoff game. He had 10-plus rebounds in a playoff game. Just because he hasn't gotten there in advance doesn't mean he's not a primetime playoff performer. He was really good in the play-in this year for the Bulls in one game, was not so good in the second game of the play-in. But he absolutely dominated the Toronto Raptors. In game 1 of the play-in, he had 39 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, over 50% from the deck, but he struggled against the Heat. No doubt about it. 15 points, 2 assists, and 4 rebounds, and was not efficient at all. But I'm not sweating that. I'm not going to overreact to one playoff game against the Miami Heat. Sample size is a little bit too small for me to draw any strong conclusions. Bleacher Report said this could be what the trade could look like. It would be R.J. Barrett, Evan Fournier, and the 2024 first-round pick the Knicks own that comes via Washington, which is top 12 protected. I'll ask you this question. Would you make this trade? Would you trade for LaVine if all you had to give up was Barrett, Fournier, and a top 12 first-round protected pick? Yeah, this is a steal. It would never be this cheap, and if it is, the Knicks should pull the trigger. Let me know what you think. Type A for accept, type D for decline. The next player that Bleacher Report linked to the New York Knicks was Jaylen Brown, the shooting guard small forward, via the Boston Celtics. He's a really good player, no doubt about it. But I do want to be honest on my take right here. I don't think the Boston Celtics are going to trade Jaylen Brown. I think that they are ready to offer him that $300 million contract. I think they are ready to really marry that duo of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But I'll entertain the idea, and we'll go through the trade idea. There's no doubt that Jaylen Brown is a great basketball player. He's a productive offensive player. He can defend at a high clip on the perimeter. I mean, when you look at what he did in 2022, there's a reason that he was an All-NBA selection because he averaged 27.7 rebounds, just over a steal per night, and was one of the most efficient players in the league at 49% from the field on the volume that he has. But it's a three-point shot that's a little bit worrisome for me. When you talk about career playoff stats for Jaylen Brown, it's kind of wild that the guy has already played in 105 playoff games in his NBA career, and I like that. I think that's a plus. I want a guy that's battle-tested. I just felt like I see a player that's more of a third option than a second option, but he could be a second option, no doubt about it. I just think he's closer to being a third option, and kind of what he did in that Game 7 against Miami when he had 8 turnovers was a little bit worrisome for me, but he would no doubt be a great fit alongside Jalen Brunson. I also think it's something to remember that Jaylen Brown is eligible for a 5-year extension worth a projected $295 million. Do we want to pay Jalen Brunson 5 years, $295 million? It's a lot of freaking money. We want to talk about Zach LaVine being expensive. I think he's making half that amount of money over the next couple of years. It was wild. Bleacher Report came out with a 3-team trade idea for Jaylen Brown. Nothing gets me more excited than a little 3-team trade idea. They had the Knicks getting Jaylen Brown. They had the Portland Trail Blazers getting R.J. Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Malcolm Brogdon, Jericho Sims, 2 first-round picks for the Knicks in 2026 and 2028, and a first-round pick swap from Boston in 2027. And then Boston would get Damian Lillard and a first-round pick from the Knicks. That was Washington. So in totality, if you're looking at this as to what are the Knicks giving up in this trade, it's R.J. Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Jericho Sims, and 3 R.J. Grimes, Jericho, and 3 first-round picks. 6 different assets for Jaylen Brown. Would you do it? I don't know. Who wins this trade, though? I'll just ask this question. Who do you think wins this trade? Would it be the Knicks because they got Jaylen Brown? Would it be the Boston Celtics because they got Damian Lillard? Or was it be Portland because they're getting R.J. Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Malcolm Brogdon, Jericho Sims, 2 first-round picks, and a pick swap? I want to hear from you. Who wins this trade? NYK, BOS, or POR? I'm not trading for Jaylen Brown, and there's a couple of reasons to that, right? I don't want to pay the 5 years, $300 million contract. I really worry about how much of an upgrade. I know it's an upgrade. I don't want people to think I'm not saying it's an upgrade. But how much, like if R.J. Barrett is here, like is Jaylen Brown all the way up here? Is he here? Is he here? I don't want to trade Quentin Grimes. But I will say, you're not giving up all that too much. It's the contract, Grimes, and the picks that's really holding me back in this situation. I would not make that move for Jaylen Brown. The last player we're going to talk about in today's video is a very frequent name we break down on this channel, is OG Anunoby, as the trade that they have is pretty interesting. We'll break that down around the corner. The reason that I keep coming back to OG and people keep linking OG to the Knicks is because the Knicks were interested last offseason. The Knicks were interested at the NBA trade deadline. OG Anunoby left Clutch Sports, and now he's repped by CAA. And as we know, It's the CAA Mafia with the New York Knicks. But a reason that I think OG would be a great fit for the Knicks is because OG brings what the Knicks lack. And what is that? An elite on-ball perimeter defender and a guy that is a knockdown shooter from downtown. When you look at what OG has done in the last 4 years, he continues to get better and better and better and better. The three-point percentage goes up. He adds more of a shot profile to his game. He shows you that he's one of the best defenders in the NBA, but he's not a guy that can create his own shot all that consistently. He turns the ball over a little bit too much when he's going downhill and attacking the basket. He's not someone you just throw the ball to on the block and say, OG, get me a bucket. And that could be looked at one of two ways. One, why would we trade a 20-point-per-game scorer in RJ Barrett for a guy that can't score 20 points per game? But I'll look at it as if OG Anunoby can average 17 and shoot 38.7% from downtown, playing alongside Fred VanVleet, what is he going to do playing around a better point guard in Jalen Brunson, who's going to get him way better looks in that situation? Another thing that I love about OG is an elite catch-and-shoot player. He's also deadly from the corners. He led the NBA's in steals this past year. He was third in deflections. So you're getting a guy that shoots 47 and 43% from the corner, 41% from catch-and-shoot, and he's also solid when he attacks the basket. I've also seen a little bit of a flash of a little jab step, put it on the deck, pull-up game from OG. I think that could be the next level of his game that he looks to add to. What's it going to cost? A whole lot, according to Bleacher Report. We would get OG, but we'd give up 2 players in Quentin Grimes and Evan Fournier, as well as 3 first-round picks. The first-round pick via Washington, which is top 12 protected, a top 5 protected first-round pick, and an unprotected first-round pick. So the Knicks are giving up 2 of their own draft picks, a 3rd protected pick, and Quentin Grimes. It's a lot, and I worry about the fit of RJ at the 2, OG at the 3. You only really have one good ball handler in that lineup with Jalen Brunson. I'll ask you, would you make this trade? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want to hear from you guys down below in the comment section. Maybe I'm being dumb. Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm being bullish on Quentin Grimes. I'm not trading Quentin Grimes unless I am getting a superstar. Unless the Knicks are getting back a superstar, I am not trading Quentin Grimes because I truly do believe that Grimes has one of the highest ceilings on this team. I don't think that he is close to what his ceiling is going to be. And like OG, he's an elite defender and an elite three-point shooter. 39% from 3 last year for Quentin Grimes. That is one of the best in the NBA. He also has some guard skills that I like about his game. I also think he's someone that can get downhill and attack the basket in the fast break. And I don't even think we are close to seeing what a 28-year-old prime Quentin Grimes is going to be. Why do I think that? Because when he actually got looks, when he was actually a part of the game plan, when he was actually someone that got open shots consistently, he produced consistently. There was 25 games this year where Quentin Grimes shot at least 10 shots in a game. And in those 25 games, the guy averaged 17.8 points per game and shot 41% from 3 on 10 field goals a night. It's not like I'm asking for 20 shots a night. I'm asking for 10. Can we get Quentin Grimes 10 looks per night? I don't think that's too much to ask. But I'm going to continue to say this as well. The perfect trade is not available. When the Knicks trade for a star, which they are because they have all these draft picks, they are not going to just make all these picks. When the Knicks do make that trade, there's no doubt I'm going to be a little bit upset. There's no doubt that I am not just going to love the trade they made because I do believe that Quentin Grimes, two of Quentin Grimes, Immanuel Quickley, and RJ Barrett are going to go when they make that trade for a superstar. And I'm going to be upset about that because I love those players. It's going to be upset. I don't want to trade Grimes for OG Anunoby as well as an unprotected, a top 5 protected, and another protected pick. 3 picks and Grimes? I can't do that. I can't. Look, if maybe you're mad at me because I didn't do one of those trades or you just want to talk a little bit more about it, I'm down. Hit me up on Twitter @MarshallGreen_. Always down to talk some Knicks ball over there.